Hey, hello once again. Hey, it's Dan here in Virginia. The weather here has been great for spring flying, and to tell you the truth, I've got the itch to build another airplane. And lo and behold, I've got a glossy catalog from Tower Hobbies the other day, and I get to flipping through that. They got a lot of great airplanes, a rather nice catalog if you haven't got one. And sure enough, what do I see? I'm a sucker for red. And on page 3, they have this thing called the CrazE wing. Like I said, I'm a sucker for red, and I'm also a sucker for translucent covering film. So I just love looking through the film, and you can see all the internal structures of the wing by looking through it. This thing is translucent front and back. So you can see it came with a big advertisement for Tower Hobbies. It goes on the bottom, or not, whatever you want to do. On top, it's got some cool graphics, stick-on graphics. Today I just want to give you a little preview of it. It's pretty simple. It's a kit, so you have to buy your own servos and a motor, an ESC, and I've got a gyro in it also. But the aircraft has a 36-inch wingspan, but it's only 19 inches long. And inside it, I'm running a 40 amp E-Flight ESC, one of the leftovers I had with those problems with my Ultra Stick. So I'm running that, and I'm running a zippy 2200 battery, as you can see here. It just fits very snugly in there. You have some room to shift it front and back to help with the center of gravity, and you really need that latitude, although I don't have much, because I have right back in here, this compartment just in front of these servos, I have an orange RX version 2 3-axis stabilizer. So it's very hard to get it. It's right in here. Then you can see these servos. There's one here and one here. They're in tandem. So this compartment is very crowded. So you may probably see, I don't know if you can see it in this video or not, but some of the wires, I actually had to push. I did have them all in here, but I was afraid they'd get caught in the servos when I actuated. So I just pushed them through the openings in some of the bulkheads. You can see them a little bit, but they're not going anywhere. The components that come with it, the horns and the push rods, are very stout, pretty heavy duty. The vertical stabilizers, these things here, this is just one layer of balsa, and it's covered of course with the red covering, but it has a little tab in the front, one right here, one right here. I just put epoxy down in these slots all along here, and you take a little a square and make sure they're squared up before the epoxy sets. The interesting thing about these wings, I've had other wings, but most wing airplanes are pusher style, and this is different in that it is a tractor style airplane. In other words, the motor, of course, is in the front. Being up front, it pulls the airplane like a tractor. The other airplanes I've had that are wings have both been pusher styles, and when you go to launch them, you better be on your game, or that propeller is going to bite your fingers, and it'll bite badly. I've never been drawn blood, but I've been whacked really good. Sometimes I even wear a glove on my right hand, and I did learn a trick where you get the radio set up, you set it on half throttle with the motor turned off, and you actually launch the airplane and you flip the on switch, and then it kicks in when it's about 10 or 12 feet away from you, and the motor will come on and you're alright. But anyway, this is the CrazE wing. It really will be crazy. You have to really adjust the throws down to get it within the parameters that they call for. This is a 9x6 APC prop, which I can't believe it looks like way too much prop for this motor or this airplane, but that's what they call for. I had a little difficulty with the front end here, and if you can tell or not, but I had to, because this is a Grayson Hobby motor, I'm running. I had left over. It's not the one they recommend. They have a mushroom, kind of a bell-shaped motor. But this Grayson Hobby motor, to make it fit, the mounting holes in the fuselage box here, these are exactly 30 millimeters apart. So I had to hand fabricate this motor mount, and it's made out of 1/8 inch aluminum plate, which is hard to come by. I had to go to a special metal sale shop where they sell all kinds of metal. They sell it by the pound or by the ton, you know, it's industrial kind of stuff. And the guy just went in a scrap bin. He said, "Hey, got me a piece about this big." And he just gave it to me. It's a piece of scrap. So anyway, I spent about 3 hours measuring, cutting, drilling, sanding, polishing to make this motor mount. It's probably the nicest part of the airplane, but anyway, you can see I've got my little battery indicator I like to put on my batteries right here and tell whether it's going or not. Interesting enough, with this motor mount in the front, I thought it would be nose heavy, but she's not. I think it's because this battery, I can't shift it back and forth enough. I need to put it further forward. So if you can see them, I actually had to add, you can see right here, that's a stick-on weight. There's a stick-on weight right on the back of the motor. There's a black stick-on weight, and there's a stick-on weight here. I've actually had to add 40 grams of weight to get this thing to balance. And when I say balance, I put it on a balancing stand. These things don't actually just sit there. You can't get them to just balance like a regular airplane. The best you can do is get them just to teeter-totter, just like a teeter-totter in the playground. They're either going to go forward or backward, forward or backwards. When you get it, it won't just sit there. It'll fall off. So, amazingly, if you can see on the back side here, if you this line here, that's the forward CG mark. That's the rear. You can see that's quite a distance. That's more. I was surprised there's such a variance. It's between 1 1/4 back from the leading edge, and this is 1 7/8 from the leading edge. So you can balance it anywhere. That's on about a 1/2 inch variance. That's more than a lot of airplanes, fixed wing airplanes. So I try to balance it right here, you know, right in between those lines. And to do that, like I said, it took 40 grams of stick-on weights. So I think I mentioned that right under here, I have an orange RX version 2 3-axis gyro. Helps stabilize it. And believe me, you're going to need this thing to be stabilized. So that's it. I thought I'd give you a little preview. This thing is pretty delicate. Next time it may be in a pile of splinters and toothpicks because this thing will really, I'm sure if you look online, you'll see some videos where guys really go crazy and beef these up. Wings are probably the fastest airplanes that any class of airplanes you can fly, and it won't take much to just smash this to smithereens. One good drive-in will do it. But the key thing, it was only 50 bucks. The basic kit's only 50 bucks. You do have to buy high torque servos. So I bought high-tech servos. They're all metal gears, high-tech servos. They give a torque specifications. The first plane I've seen to do that. It says right here in the build manual. And the build manual is quite. It takes 2 mini servos with at least 38 grams of torque. So you either have to buy, the ones I could find were high-tech brand or Fatubas. I went with the high-techs. So the manual was pretty complete. It's about, let's see here, it's about 11 pages, and it's a lot of good pictures. You can't go wrong. You just follow their instructions. They even have a supplemental section, and they give you what they call a reflex gauge. Now what this gauge does, when you're building the aircraft, you have to set up the aileron in comparison to the wing. You have to adjust it so that that angle right there fits that reflex gauge when you set it up. So that's just the way wings work. You have to have a little slight cant up. I'm not an aerodynamic engineer, but that's what it takes to keep this thing flying level. So that's where you start. So you make sure you follow the reflex gauge. In fact, this is an extra one. It came on an extra sheet in the instruction manual. Well, that's about it for now. Like I said, I want to make a little video before I take it out and crash it. I'm a little apprehensive, but I'm going to give it a go. What do I got to lose, you know? So, be $100 worth of fun. Probably I have $100 in it with the servos and everything combined. So, I'll probably be able to get a couple flights out of it. I don't know. So, anyway, it was fun to build. And if you want to really get crazy, check them out. Get yourself a CrazE wing and give it a try. Out here, fly safely.